In the final part of our discussion, we sum up this conversation and speak about the opportunities for investors.
And I mean, this is a separate sector, and we're not going to get into it, but it highlights this as well, and you've written about it as well, is the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, China is dominant. And just give us a kind of your take on that, because it's the same story.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, this is, I guess part of it too, is this is China's play, right? Like they're very good at this, it's a squeeze from both ends. It's staking out a position early where the upstream of a critical value chain depends on them, and also being a dominant market. And what that means is that leading companies find themselves dependent on China for inputs and then also for their sales. And the pharmaceutical, and then because of that dependence, China is able to coerce those companies if it wants, control the sector, but also acquire technology that lets it move up the value chain and ultimately claim the entirety of it. But yeah, pharmaceuticals are a great example. Like at this point, most generic drugs in the world are made in China. And that's something that became pretty well known during COVID, because suddenly this was a matter of, it's always been a matter of security. Sometimes suddenly this was acknowledged as a matter of security. But it's kind of faded out of the conversation. Still remains very, very important, especially considering there are real quality concerns about goods made in China. And this is a national security thing.
Yes.
Which Beijing realizes, and the rest of the world doesn't necessarily, or hasn't up to this point.
And I mean, things should move slowly, because detangling from something you already have creates a lot of animosity. I mean, we've seen that too with the semiconductors, with EVs, is this, if you're going to make semiconductors, then we're going to do this, because they realize, oh, you've either caught on, or you've decided to the US flex on this deal we thought we had, that we thought we were going to just have dominance. That puts everything in that kind of crux or fulcrum as well.
And that's part of, Beijing has positioned the way it has in large part for leverage, so that the second, yes, we say we're going to disentangle an X field, China can put pressure either on that field or in another one that matters, because they do have so many leverage points. And it's very intentional. And I think that they're willing to use that positioning in a way that we being trusted economies, are not necessarily willing to do, because economic warfare is not a norm in a globalized environment.
No, and this is where it becomes interesting when we kind of tie it all together. And my message to a lot of people is saying, listen, whether you're a big fan of oil and gas, you're a big fan of this or that, is that let's take as much of that off the table, the politics off, and just say energy. If there's energy play happening, do we agree? Yes. Why? And even if you just think, I don't believe any of this renewable stuff can work, but if there's a chance it can work, and you see this group over here spending this much money, Goldman Sachs spending this much money, you see the flow of money. Why wouldn't you say, well, let's just cover our bases here. let's not just totally forget about this. Let's grab a hold on this and also use our brain power, which we're already doing behind the scenes anyway. But let's just acknowledge as the West that we need to really focus in on this, because if you can have a renewable energy source, is it great for the environment? Yes. But that's huge. That's a huge win.
No matter what, we should care about secure and trusted production. So, as you said, who cares whether you think renewable is the future or not? If the money is going toward renewable, the money should be going to a renewable energy that does not depend on a geopolitical adversary.
Yes. I mean, that's it. I mean, to me, that's a part of just the statement. And money never lies. Like, I mean, it's numbers. It's like numbers. If you see this outflow, and we see it at COP26, we hear it from all sorts of groups, we're going to spend trillions. And people go, oh yeah, okay. You go, no. Even me today, to get my head wrapped around $1 trillion is very hard. And that causes worry, because you think, oh, that's a lot of money. But at the same time you go, but to spend trillions also kind of highlights the belief that these people up at the top think there's growth. Like, if we're spending trillions, the growth curve to this is, yeah, we're kind of getting beat up now, is potentially very big. Like, that's the size of, we're talking about a lot of conflict and doom and gloom and this and that. But here's where, if you're paying attention, there's huge opportunity. And once again, we can highlight what you're looking at with your fund as well, kind of tying this all together.
Yeah. And I mean, there's huge opportunity. The trillions are being spent. And our thesis is finding the players who are going to get the ground floor of that money. And the ground floor as literally as you can get in presenting a metaphor like that, because these energy value chains are going to be built on upstream inputs, and they're going to have to be new upstream inputs because the ones that currently exist are not sustainable in terms of today's regulatory and economic environments. So where are the players that literally are going to undergird these, the energy environment that is going to be supported by these trillions of dollars, or even this legacy and doesn't work anymore for the same reasons? And that's, I mean, everything's going to be built on that foundation. So that's where there's outsized opportunity.
So what's the name of this fund going to be? Do you have a website? And what's some of the things? How do we reach you?
Futura Fund is the name. You can reach us at Emily@futuravc.com, which, as that email address would suggest, the website is futuravc.com.
So I think we'd love to catch up, because we've covered a lot, and a lot of people's heads are going to be swimming because there's a lot. But we'd like to have you back on, not only just to specifically talk about, maybe you want to share some of the thoughts you have with milestones with the fund, what you're looking at. Maybe not specifically, you don't want to give away the secret sauce, but we can maybe talk a little bit more in depth about that. But I would encourage people to send us some feedback and questions that you'd have for Emily as well. And then we could follow up on some of these more on detail and some of the opportunities, because a lot of people haven't even gone through like the infrastructure bill to see the amount of money going towards nuclear, the amount of money going towards battery energy solutions, the amount of money going to just mining companies. It's an opportunity that a lot of mining companies here, even in Canada, that are looking at, but that people have to realize it may not hit the market today, but it's going to affect the market here in the near to shorter term, once that money starts percolating and starts having an output like of growth.
Yes, 100%. And obviously consider me on standby for any questions.
Perfect. Well, Emily, we really appreciate having you on, and we look forward to catching up as soon as possible, because having someone with your expertise and the reach that you have, and the fact, being able to be before Congress to give your opinions, that's not everyone gets to do that. So we wanted your opinion, your thoughts, and to share them with not only our subscribers, but anyone out there who's willing to listen through all the noise to see where there's opportunity. And I couldn't agree more with the opportunity that does present itself. And we're looking forward to following up with you real soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.